Have you ever experienced trauma or abuse and wondered if life will get better? That's the subject of this reading about a 13-year-old girl. Hi, everybody. I'm Sue Ellen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we're learning how to read tarot one card at a time. In today's reading, we'll be using a 3-card spread to look at a young teenager's mental state. I will be using the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, and there is a link below. This question was posted anonymously online and is very tragic. A mother wants to know if her 13-year-old daughter's anxiety will improve. This poor girl has been through a lot. Her father died when she was 6. 5 years later, she was sexually abused by her uncle. At the age of 12, she had to testify in a court case against her uncle. The only other information the mother gave is that the daughter is currently in therapy. For simplicity's sake, I will call the daughter Aria. The mother did not mention using a spread. However, I will be using a 3-card spread to provide further guidance for Aria's future. Card number 1 looks at what the near future holds for Aria's emotional state. The mother drew the Ace of Pentacles. Card number 2 looks at what challenges Aria may face in the healing process. The mother drew the 6 of Cups. Card number 3 looks at how Aria can overcome these challenges. The mother drew the 3 of Swords. Let's begin by looking at my first impressions. I was surprised that these are all minor arcana cards and basically in the beginning half of the Ace through 10 progression. This tells me that Aria is early on in her journey. Although what happened to her is truly tragic, we don't see major arcana cards, so I think that she will successfully make it through this period in her life. Card number 3, the 3 of Swords, looks absolutely dismal. But it is about overcoming challenges, so I don't think things are as bad as I originally thought. We have 3 elements represented in these cards. Pentacles represents earth and things in the physical world, such as Aria's home, school, and body. Cups represent water and Aria's emotions. Swords represent air and Aria's thoughts. The missing element is Wands, which represents fire and Aria's inner fire and resilience. I'm wondering if this is the cause of her anxiety, because she's lost her belief in herself and her ability to trust herself and the world around her. If you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that I have my own issues with anxiety. And I was trying to think about how my issues related to Aria's. I experience anxiety when I'm doing something that I can't control, and I have a lot more control over my life than a 13-year-old. I think that's why I like tarot so much, because I can do a reading and feel like I know how things are going to turn out. So in this reading, we have poor Aria, who is young and has experienced a whole lot of things that she couldn't control in her life. So it's not surprising that she'd be missing the inner fire that is represented by Wands. Think about fire. It burns brightly and with confidence, moves quickly, and has the potential to destroy anything in its path. I feel like Aria would want to be the opposite. She'd want to hide so that people don't see her. And I can't imagine that she would be pushing for things to happen, because a lot of things that have already happened to her were pretty awful. I feel like her preference would be to retreat to her bedroom and play video games. If she is forced to be out in the world where she doesn't have control, I can see that she would experience anxiety. Now let's look at each card individually. Card number 1 looks at what the near future holds for Aria's emotional state. The mother drew the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles is about new beginnings in the physical world, which would be related to Aria's health, family, school, and home. This card tells us that Aria's future looks bright. At the bottom, we see a wide yellow path beneath the archway. Yellow, which is the color of the sun, is the color of clarity and protection. The path doesn't have any rocks, so it is clear. We have lilies towards the front, which symbolize death, purity, and rebirth. This indicates that Aria is facing a new start. Toward the back of the card, we see an archway made of a lovely hedge of lush greenery and red roses. In tarot, arches represent new beginnings and stepping forward toward a new phase of life on the other side. Behind the archway, we see mountains in the distance. In tarot, mountains represent struggles that Aria will still have to face. The lush greenery represents growth and health, so she'll be okay. In the top portion of the card, we see a white hand with an aura holding a coin. This is a gift from Spirit. The pentacle is in the right hand, which is the hand of giving. The hand is coming out of a cloud, which represents what is hidden. So we don't know what the spirit looks like or why they are giving this gift, but it has been given to Aria. I'd like to give a shout out to Liz Dean and her book, The Ultimate Guide to Tarot. She mentioned something that I had never noticed, and that is that the Ace of Pentacles is the only pentacle card to show a coin with a double border. She believes this is to emphasize its value. So despite everything that has happened to her, Aria will heal. As I mentioned earlier, pentacles represent the element of earth, which is all about being grounded. It can also represent the body's 5 senses. It's hard to have anxiety when you are grounded, and these are connected. In fact, the treatment for anxiety is to get out of your head and focus on things in the physical world, such as your breathing, the sound of the wind in the trees, or the feeling of the earth under your feet. In fact, there's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique that is used to stop anxiety. This was invented by psychotherapist Betty Alice Erickson, who is the daughter of the famous psychiatrist Milton Erickson. This is an incredible tool for managing anxiety because it doesn't require any tools or doing something embarrassing like pulling out a meditation pillow and meditating. All you do is focus on your 5 senses by identifying 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. So I believe that Aria is being given the gift of healing from Spirit and is starting a new chapter in her life. She will learn how to ground herself, and her anxiety and emotional state will get much better. Card number 2 looks at what challenges Aria may face in the healing process. The Mother drew the 6 of Cups. My first thought was that, as part of her healing process, Aria will find it challenging to revisit things that have happened in her past and to accept a balanced and realistic view of her childhood world. While she may have experienced many good things, her life so far has not been a fairy tale. I think she has been minimizing some of her bad experiences and not accepting the true traumas that she has faced. To heal, she will also need to let go of her beliefs about how things should have been and her anger about the fact that she's experienced a lot of trauma. It will be a challenge for Aria to give up what she considered to be a fairy tale childhood and accept how things actually were. Another challenge Aria will face is reconnecting with the childlike, tender parts of herself and learning to extend kindness towards herself. Children tend to blame themselves for bad things that happen because it gives them a feeling of control over the world. She needs to figure out that these experiences were not her fault and to treat herself with kindness. We see Aria receiving the flowers, and it makes me wonder if her abuser gave her some kind of gifts to lure her into the abusive situations or to keep her quiet. This can indicate that Aria believes she was responsible for the abuse because she accepted the gifts. So Aria might find it challenging to forgive herself for any beliefs that she caused the abuse to occur. I think she might find it challenging to acknowledge that people walked away from her instead of protecting her, as symbolized by the guard on the left side of the card. This could represent her father, who left her when he died. It could also represent people, including her mother, who Aria believes should have protected her from her uncle's actions and did not. Marcus Katz and Callie Goodwin state in their amazing book, Secrets of the Waitsmith Tarot, that the couple shown on the card is based on a play called Nance Oldfield that starred an actress named Ellen Terry, who was one of the illustrator of the deck Pamela Coleman Smith's Dearest Friends. This play is based on a real-life story of a young poet who falls in love with a much older actress. As an aside, that actress was famously buried wearing white gloves, which would explain what looks like a mitten on the girl's left hand. I feel like this symbolizes another challenge that Aria will face. She feels like she has become old before her time and is having a hard time relating to people her own age. Or she may just feel exhausted all of the time. Overall, I think that Aria will face many challenges in her healing journey. These include revisiting the past and accepting what happened, including her father's death and the fact that she was not protected from her uncle. She will also need to learn to treat herself with compassion and tenderness. You've made it this far in the video, and I wanted to stop and ask a favor if you're not already a subscriber, and that is to please hit the subscribe button. It's free for you, and it will also help me to grow this channel. Plus, it means that you won't miss anything. Thanks so much, and if you're already a subscriber, I truly appreciate your ongoing support. Now let's get back to the video. Card number 3 looks at how Aria can overcome these challenges. The mother drew the 3 of Swords. The heart is significant both physically and emotionally. The heart is the center of our circulatory system and carries blood, which is our life force, to and from all parts of our body. It's also the center of our emotions. When we lose someone we love, we speak of our heart being broken. As we talked about in the last card, I think that Aria feels old beyond her years and absolutely exhausted. The life force is not getting through. Here we see Aria's heart being pierced not once, but 3 times. There are a lot of ways we can interpret this. Each sword can represent one of the terrible things that happened to Aria: her father's death, her sexual assaults, and testifying in her court case. The 3 swords can represent her body, mind, and soul. Basically, all parts of Aria have become deeply hurt by her experiences. Finally, 3 swords in the heart can represent overkill. While it might be possible to recover from 1 stab wound in the heart, I think it's impossible to recover from 3 wounds. Overall, I think this is a message that Aria can overcome her challenges, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Since this card is specifically about how she would overcome the challenges, let's look for some of the positives. First of all, the heart is very large in proportion to the swords. This indicates that Aria will survive the wounds. She was seriously wounded, but she did not die. The swords have 2 blades. Most of the sword is a cold blue color, which represents the cold, unyielding facts. I think this tells us that a big part of Aria's healing process will be looking at the truth or facts behind her wounds. The white portion of the sword represents purity and purification. This indicates that once Aria is done accepting and processing the facts of her situation, she'll understand that she was innocent in these events and be able to move forward. The background in the card is cloudy and gray, which represents depression, sadness, and mourning. To overcome her challenges, Aria will need to accept her sadness and mourn the life she pictured in the 6 of Cups. You can see light at the edge of the clouds and behind the heart, so I think that her depression will dissipate. Finally, swords are about communication. I think that Aria will need to express her emotions, communicate what happened to her, and ask what she needs. Her mother mentions that Aria is working with a therapist, so that's a great start. But I think that Aria will need to learn to communicate with other people in her life. This might include sharing her thoughts and feelings with her mother, asking for help, perhaps by getting some accommodations at school, and figuring out how to share her authentic self with her friends, despite the fact that she feels like she's so much older than they are. So it will definitely take a lot of work for Aria to overcome her challenges. She needs to acknowledge the truth of her past, forgive herself for anything she believed was her fault, and learn to express her thoughts and needs. So let's summarize. This reading was requested by the mother of a 13-year-old girl, who we called Aria, who had experienced a great deal of trauma. The mother wanted to know if Aria's anxiety would improve, and the answer is a definite yes. However, Aria's journey towards healing will not be an easy one. Card number 1, the Ace of Pentacles, looked at what the future holds for Aria's emotional state. The future looks bright. Spirit is giving Aria the gift of healing, and she is starting a new chapter in her life. Aria will learn how to ground herself, and her anxiety and emotional state will get much better. Card number 2, the 6 of Cups, looked at what challenges Aria may face in the healing process. These included looking at her childhood realistically and accepting what happened, including her father's death and the fact that she was not protected from her uncle. Aria will also need to learn to treat herself with compassion and tenderness. Card number 3, the Three of Swords, looked at how Arya can overcome these challenges. It won't be easy because she's experienced a lot of trauma, but she will get there. Arya needs to acknowledge the truth of her past, forgive herself for anything she believed was her fault, and learn to express her thoughts and needs. I hope this video will give you help with your tarot readings. Please leave a comment if you'd like to share what you learned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.